Good
Good
morning to
morning.
you.
How are you?
I am just fine. How are you?
Well, fabulous. I wish I was in Sweden.
Well, you know what? Today you should have been because it's 14, 15 degrees Celsius and, the first real day of spring.
Really beautiful.
So how do you have it where you are?
Well, I live down in St. George, Utah, which is in the west, kind of in the far southwestern corner of the state. And we're kind of in the high desert. So we did get snow this year for about a day. I don't think we had any snow for the last couple of years, but the weather here is a little bit like Las Vegas. It gets a little hot in the summer, but the winters are mild, so we like it.
So when you say you would like to be in Sweden, it's more for, the coldness of it?
Well, no, I've never been to Sweden, and I've always wanted to come. I don't know. I've just always wanted to come and visit and look around and see Sweden. So maybe one of these days when things open up, I'll get my wish.
Dr. Bradley Nelson, welcome to Livsenergi. And I just got your cue to say, maybe this is the time. We're launching you in Sweden now.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
So maybe
I'm totally
that's
open.
your invitation to get here.
Okay. All right, awesome. I'm totally open. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that would be fun. So we're here to talk about you because you are right now, actually it's a week from today. Your book, The Emotion Code, will be launched in Sweden.
Wow, exciting.
It's not the first country that your book will be found in another language because it's an old book with like 14 years.
Yeah, I think so. It came out, let's see, in 2007. So yeah, 14 years.
But this one is a new, revised, and expanded version.
Yes, exactly right. After about 10 or 11 years had gone by, we started thinking about doing a revision because we'd learned some new things. And also when the original Emotion Code book came out in 2007, the stories that were in there were really just my stories, the things that I had seen personally happen. Since then, of course, we've collected, I think we have over 10,000, maybe 11,000 stories now that people have sent in from around the world. So we wanted to choose some of those and put those in. We wanted to add a whole new chapter on inherited trapped emotions. Which is a really interesting topic. So
that's a new one, that topic.
Well, it was in the original Emotion Code book, but we've just learned a lot more about it. And it's a fascinating part of the Emotion Code. And essentially what happens is we can inherit the energy of emotions that that became trapped in the lives of one of our ancestors. Maybe, if you're from Sweden, it might have been one of your Viking ancestors maybe went through something really rough and had some kind of a trapped emotion that was created. Or maybe it was from the life of your father or your grandmother. But sometimes these can go back for many generations. And so that's one of the things that you can find and remove very easily using the Emotion Code.
I am super excited, and I just wrote the chronicle for our member magazine the other day, and I realized I was so excited about this book, and I just had to reveal that, yes, I am excited because I've been to kinesiologists. Mm-hmm. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, kinesiology is that art and science of getting information from the body through testing the muscles, yeses and nos.
I've been to those previously to get to know what I can eat and what I should avoid and that kind of stuff. But this, all of a sudden, I was presented with a tool that I could hopefully use for myself if I dedicate myself to actually read and learn and practice.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the beautiful things about it is that you can learn how to do this yourself. It's easy, actually. Children are learning how to do it, and they're getting great results around the world. So if children can do it, adults can too.
Hopefully, if we can just release some of the, the limits that we put on ourselves.
Sometimes we need to get out of our own way a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that we have to talk about the emotion code. You have to tell us, what is this? And why have you written it? And what can we take away from it as the readers?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I spent about 20 years as a holistic chiropractic physician, working with people of all ages, people who had all different kinds of problems. People were coming in to see me for, of course, pain, migraine headaches, neck pain, back pain, knee pain, elbow pain, carpal tunnel syndrome, all kinds of things. But I was also seeing patients that were dealing with things like depression and anxiety, and phobias and panic attacks and PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, self-sabotage of all kinds. And also, especially during the last 10 years of my practice, I was seeing people who, most of my patients have been told that there really was no hope for them, no help for them available in Western medicine. And yet the vast majority of them I was able to get well. But the key to it was that all of these people, no matter how old or young they were, no matter what they were suffering from, no matter what their symptoms were, no matter what they'd been diagnosed with, they all had something in common, and that was their emotional baggage. And so I don't know if you have that phrase in Swedish for emotional baggage, but in English, it's a phrase. Mm-hmm. And we often use it in describing other people, not usually about ourselves. We'll say, oh, that Alexander, she's got a lot of emotional baggage, right? Or that Dr. Nelson, he's got a lot of emotional baggage. But what I found was that emotional baggage is actually a real thing. Now, to understand how this works, think about the body itself. Okay, great quantum physicists like Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, people like that, found that our bodies are really just made of energy. Everything is made of energy. And so if you look at your hand, for example, your hand looks pretty solid. If you magnify your hand about 40 times or 100 times, it doesn't look the same anymore. It's still your hand. If you zoom in up to 1,000,000 power magnification or more, at some point, you're looking face to face with a single individual atom. And if you look in the atom, you see there's really nothing in there. It's just all empty space and little infinitesimally tiny energies that are zipping around at the speed of light. And that's really what we are. So we're beings of pure energy. Well, when you're feeling an emotion, what you're feeling is a particular frequency or a particular vibration of energy. Everything is energy. Emotions are energy. So if you're feeling an emotion of anger, you're feeling a different frequency than if you were feeling an emotion of sadness or resentment. Every emotion is different. Now, sometimes the emotions that we experience, we bury. We don't want to feel those, and so we bury those. Or sometimes those emotions are just very, very powerful, and we become very involved with that emotion, and we become really upset or really angry or whatever. And it's during those times when sometimes the energy of that emotion can become trapped in the body. And a trapped emotion is literally a ball of emotional energy from about the size of an orange, maybe to the size of a small melon. And what these do is they inhabit our bodies. They can lodge anywhere in the body. And then they have two effects on us. And the best way I can describe this to you is through an actual example. Many years ago, a man came in to see me who had really severe back pain. On a 0 to 10 scale of pain, with 10 being the worst, he was a 9. So he was one step away from going to the hospital. And it had been going on for several weeks. So using the emotion code, I started asking some questions and getting some answers from his subconscious mind, which is where all the answers are. And very quickly, I determined that he had a trapped emotion of anger that was part of his pain. And asking some more questions and getting some more answers. I was muscle testing him, getting yes as strong as yes and weak as no. And that's muscle testing. I found that this trapped emotion was anger, and it had occurred 20 years before. Now, when I arrived at that, all of a sudden, he said, oh, yes. He said, I know exactly what that's about. It was an incident that had happened at work. He was falsely accused of some things, and he was really angry. That emotion was so powerful that the anger became trapped in his body. Now, 20 years later, that emotion of anger is still there. Now, when I release that trapped emotion, which literally just takes a few seconds, just a few swipes down the governing meridian, which runs down the back and over the head, the pain was instantly gone, instantly. And
you could feel it like that.
Yeah, just like that. And he couldn't believe it. He kept bending over and twisting this way and that way and exclaiming. And I was grateful that it worked so well. Mm-hmm. Now, think about this, okay? There's more to this story, but the first part of this story is think about what was going on with this man. He had this ball of anger in his low back, an invisible ball of anger. And you see what a trapped emotion does is it distorts the normal energy field of the body. And so because that's all the body is an energy field, when you have this ball of emotional energy there that's distorting the normal energy field of the body, what happens is you're interfering with the chemical reactions in that area. You're interfering to some degree with blood flow, lymph flow, the flow of energy, the chi energy, the meridian energy. And so when I released that trapped emotion and that energy was gone, that distorting force on the tissues of his low back was suddenly gone. And so the pain instantly disappeared. Now, here's the interesting thing. 2 days later, he came back in to see me again. Mm-hmm. And here's what he said. He said, Dr. Nelson, he said, my back pain is still completely gone. I still can't believe it. It was just like a miracle. But he said, when I came in here, I had another problem that I didn't tell you about. And he said, for as long as I can remember, I've basically been what you would call a rageaholic. He said, I really have to be careful about road rage on the highway. He said, things set me off and I just have this temper. And he said, I'm yelling at my wife and my kids a lot. And he said, I'm always kind of on edge. But he said, since you released that trapped emotion of anger from me, I don't really feel it anymore. He said, I feel really different. I feel kind of peaceful and relaxed. And he said, somebody cut me off in traffic, didn't even bother me. I don't get it. I feel really different. He said, how did that work? Now think about this, okay, Alexandra. What happens is this guy, in his case, he had this ball of anger in his low back. Now, when a situation would come along in his life where he might tend to feel the emotion of anger, he would feel that emotion much more easily, much more readily than he otherwise would have. Why? Because literally his body was housing that emotion. Part of his body was feeling the emotion, the vibration of anger, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so he would slide right into that feeling so easily. Now, if you can imagine, most people have 200 or 300 trapped emotions in their bodies if they're an adult, from all of the various things that have gone on in their lives, from the breakups in junior high and high school, from being bullied as a child, from listening to your parents argue, or maybe they got divorced, or maybe you've been divorced. And, we all go through these difficult emotional experiences. That's life. But we don't have to continue to haul around all of the emotional baggage, because what that emotional baggage does is it really changes us. It changes our personalities. Like this guy who had this trapped emotion of anger, well, that's not really who he was. It was his emotional baggage that was talking and interfering with him, creating the kind of life that he wanted to. So what we find is that when people remove their emotional baggage, when they start to get rid of the trapped emotions, at a certain point, it's like they start to sense that they're changing, that their personality is changing. They become, they become happier. Life starts to flow better for them. Oftentimes, money and relationships start to manifest for them that hadn't manifested before, especially if they use the emotion code to remove what we call the heart wall.
Yeah, that's an interesting one as well.
It really is. The heart wall is the most important part of the emotion code, and it's my favorite part. And let me explain how this works. Now, back in the 1960s, when doctors first started doing heart transplants, it didn't take long before they noticed this odd phenomenon where sometimes people would come back to them, and after having the heart transplant, they would report that they had strange things going on, that their taste in music had completely changed sometimes, or their taste in food or sports. Sometimes their handwriting would change radically. Sometimes they would have memories of being in places that they never in their lives had ever visited. And when these people were connected with the families of the heart donors, what they would find is that, well, yes, that's our son's handwriting that you have now. How strange is that? Or, yes, our daughter visited Rome every year. It was her favorite city in the world. And now you have memories of being in Rome.
Oh, that's almost creepy.
Right, but you've never been there. Yeah, it's really amazing. And so the heart, you see, all the ancient peoples believed the heart was the seat of the soul and the source of love and romance and creativity. And I'm sure even in Sweden, right, on Valentine's Day or Christmas or something, if somebody might give you a heart-shaped box of chocolates, right? It happens all over the world, right? And so those old ideas about the heart being connected with love and romance, I mean, those are worldwide. Well, they've done studies now, and they've found, using some very advanced equipment, that the heart puts out a magnetic field that extends out around the body up to 12 feet in diameter. And that when one person is feeling love or affection for another person, their heart rate, their heartbeat becomes measurable in the brain waves of that other person. So there's a communication going on between all of us all the time, from heart to heart. Well, so what happens to us sometimes is that we go through a situation where we're really being hurt, or we're really deeply in grief. And there's a physical sensation that accompanies that sometimes. And we can feel like our heart is going to break. Now, have you ever had that feeling in your life?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Most people have had that experience. Well, what's going on there is that the heart, you see, because it really is everything the ancients believed it to be, contrary to what Western medicine has said for many, many years, that the heart is just a pump and nothing more. The heart really, truly is all that they believed it to be. And so when we feel deeply grieved or deeply hurt, we can feel like our heart is going to break, like there's an elephant sitting on our chest, or like we're choking, like we can't breathe. And so what happens is, in those circumstances, sometimes the subconscious mind will put up a wall around the heart. And that wall is made literally from your emotional baggage, from the trapped emotional energies that are stuck in your body. So we call this the heart wall. Yeah. And it's an amazing thing, because you see, love is an energy that goes from our heart to other people, and it's an invisible thing, but it's going on all the time. One of the first people that I saw that had a heart wall was a nurse. She was 38 years old. She came in to see me because she had really severe neck pain. She'd seen a couple of doctors for the neck pain. They hadn't been able to help her. So I'm talking with her and taking a history and so on. And she tells me that she's single. She's 38 years old. She has not dated in 8 years, and she's never going to ever date again. She's going to die a single woman. And I said, well, why do you feel that way? What led you to that? And she said that 8 years before, she was really deeply in love with this guy who dumped her and broke her heart. And so I tested her and found she had a heart wall. So her subconscious mind had put up this barrier. Okay, there were 3 trapped emotions, 3 layers of this wall, and they all had to do with the breakup from 8 years before. So I started releasing these trapped emotions. And when we cleared the last trapped emotion, and this only took probably 5 or 6 minutes, we cleared the last trapped emotion instantly, the neck pain was gone, completely gone. That's why she'd come in. And so that was it. I didn't need to do anything else with her. And she left the office feeling fine. I didn't see her again for 3 months. And when she came back in, I'll always remember this. I looked at her down the hallway and I said, "Hey, I haven't seen you for a while. How are you? What's going on?" She said, "You know, my neck has been fine since I was here. But," she said, "you cleared that heart wall for me." And that really works. She said, about 2 weeks after I was here, I found out that my childhood sweetheart has been actually living around the corner from me for almost 8 years. And we're in love and we're dating. And I think he's going to ask me to marry him. So it was an enormous shift. Now think about this. She'd been living right around the corner from her childhood sweetheart for almost 8 years. Why had she never run into him? Right? He was right around the corner. Well, because she had that wall, you see. And what we find is that 93% of people have this wall going on. And I believe that.
Can I find out if I have a heart wall or a trapped emotion that I should release?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you'd like, I can check you right now.
Oh, really?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Let me explain how this is done. Now we have between 7,000 and 8,000 practitioners now in about 80 countries around the world, and they all work with other people. The emotion code, and they do it at a distance. Okay. The emotion code is done live and in person, but it can and you can do it on yourself, but you can also do it at a distance. And so we call this working by proxy. It's a form of distance healing. So what we believe is that this work has really come from up above. And I believe in God. I believe that there is a higher power. You know, we all believe in different things. Some people refer to source energy or the universe or whatever. That's fine. But what I like to do is I like to take just a moment and try to make a connection with that higher power so that we have that help. Okay. So give me just a moment here and then we'll take a look at you. All right. All right. Awesome. Now, I'm going to be using one of the methods of muscle testing that we teach in the Emotion Code book, and it's called the ring in ring method. Okay. So we make a ring inside of a ring. And then as I'm asking questions, if the rings stay together, the answer is yes. If the rings break apart, then the answer is no. Okay. And anyone can learn how to do this. It's really, really simple. But basically, we should right now have an energetic connection that has been made. That's our intention. I asked for some help. And so let's ask some questions here. Can I act as proxy for you? Okay, I get a yes answer. So we are energetically connected. Is that true? We are. Okay. So what I can do now is I can ask questions of your subconscious mind. Those answers will manifest back to my subconscious mind and manifest on my physical body as strong for yes and a little bit weaker for no. So let's ask this question. Let's ask, do you have a heart wall? And yes, you do. All right. So let me see if I've got a chart of emotions here.
And this chart of emotions you can find in the book.
Yes, exactly right. Hold on, let me grab a chart.
Just want to tell you all viewers that this is part of the book.
Okay.
We learn everything of it.
So here's the chart of emotions in English. And so let's take a look here. And you'll notice that there are six, it's probably kind of hard to see, but there are 2 columns and 6 rows in this chart. There are 60 emotions in the chart. Now, your subconscious mind knows about all your trapped emotions. I don't know. However, we are energetically connected now, so I can ask questions and get answers. So can we release a trapped emotion from your heart wall right now? And I get a yes that we can. So this emotion then, we just have to find it. Is it in column A? No. So we've eliminated half of the chart. We know now that this emotion has to be in column B. So is it in one of the odd rows in column B? Yes, it is. Is it in row 1 in column B? Yes, it is. Okay. So the emotions in row 1 column B are effort unreceived, heartache, insecurity, overjoy, or vulnerability. So let's see which one it is. Is the emotion effort unreceived? No. Is the emotion heartache? No. Is it insecurity? No. Is it overjoy? No. Is it vulnerability? No, it's not. Now, when we're taken to a column in a row and we can't identify the emotion, it's because it was inherited. So this is an inherited trapped emotion. We were talking about these earlier. So is this an inherited emotion? It definitely is. You receive this at conception from either your mom or your dad. Let's see what the emotion is. Is it effort unreceived? No. Is it heartache? Yes. Okay. So it's an inherited trapped emotion of heartache. And let's see, I'm just going to open up a little notepad here so that I can keep track of this. Did you get this from your mother? Yes. Okay. So at conception, you receive this emotional energy from your mom. Let's see how far back it goes. Okay. Does this go, did your mother get this, in other words, from someone earlier? Yes. Did she get this from her mother? Yeah. So your mom got it from her mom. And does this go back even further? It does. How many generations? Does it go back 10 generations? It does. Does it go back 15 generations? Yes. Does it go back 20? Yes. 25? No. 24, 23, 22. This goes back 22 generations. Now, if we say 22 generations times, maybe 25 years for a generation, comes out to about 550 years ago, minus 2021, comes out to about 1471, okay, about 1471 AD. So one of your ancestors around that time, 1471, give or take maybe 20 or 30 years or so, and had that emotion of heartache. It was very, very powerful. Did this originate with a woman? It did, okay? It did. So this is a grandmother of yours, 22 generations back from you, okay? And so, so Alexandra, do you have children?
3.
You've got 3, okay. And these are your biological kids?
Yes.
Okay. Let's ask if you passed this trapped emotion to any of them when they were conceived. And I get a yes. Did you pass it to all of them? Yes. Okay. All right. So in quantum physics, there are some really interesting principles that basically say that one energy can exist in an infinite number of places at one time. And when you have an inherited trapped emotion like this, what's going on is that this is really just one energy that originated with that grandmother back in 1470 era. And that was shared in a sense down the line, but it's still only one energy. So let's ask, do we need to know anything else about this? We don't. Let's go ahead now and we can use the magnet, or I can use my hand, either way. And what we do is we swipe over the governing meridian. And we do this 10 times to release an inherited trapped emotion. We do it 3 times for most trapped emotions, but if they're inherited, we do 10 swipes, because we're not only releasing it in this case from you, but we're also releasing it from everybody else. So let's ask, did we release that trapped emotion from you? Yes. Did it also release from your 3 children? Yes. And did it clear from your mother? Yeah. And from her mother? Yep. And from all those generations all the way back? Yes. Okay. So that was the first layer of your heart wall that we were able to clear, was that that trapped emotion of insecurity. So that's essentially how this is done. And so now I want you to think about this, okay? Releasing a trapped emotion, especially one like this, that must have been very, very powerful when it was created, to be passed down the line so far. Oftentimes inherited trapped emotions will be maybe 2 or 3, 4 generations, and then they kind of lose steam and go away on their own. But sometimes they just keep going down the line, like this one. And so when we release something like this, it can really have a wonderful effect on how you feel. In fact, I had one that was actually 22 generations back that really changed my life, because all my life, the emotion was hopelessness. And when it was released, I realized that in the background of my mind, every waking hour of my life up until that point, I had had this this very low level kind of constant background feeling of hopelessness. And when that was gone, suddenly it made a big difference for me. It made a big difference for my daughter too. I'd passed it to her, and she was an artist that had never painted anything, never drawn anything until that emotion of hopelessness was released from all those generations before. And then all of a sudden artwork started coming out of her. It was really amazing. She's a phenomenal artist. But I think that if we hadn't released that inherited emotion of hopelessness from her and from me, she probably never would have ever painted anything.
So my inherited heart wall or trapped emotion or heart wall?
It was an inherited trapped emotion that at some point in your life, your subconscious mind decided to use as building material and put in as part of that wall.
So now it's released, and
well, we've cleared one trapped emotion from your heart wall. And so let's come back and ask, do you have another trapped emotion that we can release from your heart wall? Yes, there's another one.
Oh.
Do you want to release another one?
Yes.
Okay.
Always. If you have the time.
Sure, yeah, let's take a look. Okay, so here's our chart. So this next trapped emotion, see, I have no idea what the emotion is, but your subconscious mind does know. So basically I have to kind of play, the emotion code is kind of like playing charades with the subconscious to figure out what it wants you to identify. So is this trapped emotion listed in column A? Yes. Okay, so it's in column A on the emotion code chart. So you have 30 emotions left out of 60. Is it in one of the odd rows? Yes. So now we have 15 emotions left out of 60. Is it in column A, row 1? No. So we have 10 left. Is it in column A, row 3? Yes. So now we have 5 left. So there's no other system really in the world that's as fast as the emotion code for zeroing in on these emotions. So is this emotion crying? No. Is it discouragement? No. Is it rejection? Yes, it's a trapped emotion of rejection. All right, so let's see here. Do we need to know more about this emotion? Yes, we do. Okay. So Alexandra, is it okay? Can I ask you how old you are?
Yeah, you can ask me anything. I am turning 47 this year.
Okay, 47. All right, so let's see here. What we'll do then to figure out when this occurred, because your subconscious mind wants us to dig a little deeper into this. Okay, we have to dig a little bit deeper. We can't release emotions sometimes until, well, we can't release trapped emotions until we've answered all the questions that need to be answered. And in this case, your subconscious mind wants us to dig a little bit deeper. So when did this occur? Did this occur earlier than age 30? Yes. Did it occur earlier than age 20? Yes. Earlier than age 10? No. So between 10 and 20, did this occur between 10 to 15? Yes. Around 10 or 11, maybe around age 12, age 13, age 14. This is from around age 14, okay? Age 14, okay? Well, the teen years, of course, can be very difficult, volatile, and the feelings that we have can just be so exquisitely powerful. Does that ring any kind of a bell?
Yeah, it was not the best time in my life.
Okay. All right. So let's ask now, do we need to know anything else about this? We don't. But at some point during that time, you felt that rejection very powerfully. That emotional energy became trapped in your body. And then at some point, it actually formed into a layer of your heart wall. So let's release this now. And this is not inherited. So it's just 1, 2, 3 swipes of the magnet or your hand. Your hand is also magnetic. Did we release that trapped emotion? We did. Okay. Do you still have a heart wall? Actually, no. Okay. Awesome. Now, sometimes the heart wall is gone with a couple of trapped emotions. Sometimes it takes longer. It took me a couple of weeks to get rid of all the emotional baggage that had formed in my wife's heart wall when we discovered this, or were really led to discover this phenomenon. And but it's really a lot of fun, and it's a very powerful thing, and it can really lead to amazing shifts. People sometimes fall in love who never thought they would when the heart wall is taken down. Sometimes people have creative ideas that start to flow, because the best creative ideas that you'll ever have will really come from your heart, and they won't really come from your brain. So think of this. Yeah, 93% of people have a heart wall. And so everybody's operating from here. But when that wall is taken down, let me tell you something. If we could snap our fingers and magically remove everybody's heart wall from the whole planet, the planet would transform immediately.
Yeah.
It really would.
Yeah, I can imagine. And, you know, before we thought the body and it's a complex physical thing, right? That kind of runs by magic. But this kind of layer on top of it makes it even more magic. You cannot grasp the complexity of the body and the mind and how it works here. It's cool.
Yeah, it really is amazing. You know, all the work that I have done my whole career has been based on asking the subconscious mind questions and getting answers. And when I was in practice working with all of those hopelessly sick people, the vast majority of them were able to get well simply because I was asking questions and getting answers from their subconscious minds. And that's how the emotion code works. We ask questions, we get answers. The subconscious is very willing to give answers, but this understanding, this paradigm, I believe, is really going to change how we take care of ourselves in the future.
Was there a specific moment or event that led you to work with emotions, trapped emotions, and the unconscious in a more focus? Because you were a chiropractor and you were, right. You have so long experience in working with people.
Well, you know, I'll tell you something. What I really attribute it to is it really started for me at age 7. I was really sick with the measles at age 7. And I'd overheard my parents talking, and the plan was I was going to be admitted to the hospital the next day, and I was going into something called an oxygen tent. And I was really, really ill. That's all I knew. I felt really horrible. And my parents had made a bed for me on the couch. I could be near their room. And this particular night, I'm lying there on the couch feeling really sick. Next day, I know the plan. You know, I'm going to the hospital. And my parents came into the room. And I remember this like it happened yesterday. My mother said to my father, she said, "Honey, will you kneel down with me and say a prayer so that our boy will be able to get well?" And so I think they were really worried about me. And so they did. They knelt down by the side of the couch. And, you know, my dad, I think knowing my dad, this is probably the first time in my life that I'd actually heard him say a prayer. But he was concerned. My mom was concerned. So my dad starts offering this prayer and asking God to help me. Well, I had this unbelievable, impossible experience that happened. In the middle of his prayer, something started here at the top of my head, and it went whoosh through my body to the soles of my feet, and I was instantly healed. Now, let me tell you something. To go from being really sick and feeling really ill one moment to feeling totally vibrantly healthy in the next instant is something that is so bizarre and so impossible and so crazy that you can't ever forget it. I mean, that episode is burned into my mind like it happened 10 minutes ago. And I held my tongue till my dad was done praying, which didn't take long. And when he was done, I said, I'm better. And they said, "That's fine, honey, go back to sleep. You know, tomorrow you're going into the oxygen tent." That taught me that there's a higher power that we can draw upon. And so when I got into practice, I developed this habit that was a totally private, totally personal habit. Nobody ever knew that I was asking for help for them. But with every person that I saw, before I'd go to work on them, I would just take a moment and just try to make that connection and just ask for help. But I'll tell you something, Alexandra, I learned that higher power, however you might refer to it, is definitely aware of us all the time and wants to help us. There were times when somebody would come in to see me and I didn't know how to help them, didn't know how to approach their problem. When I would offer that short prayer for help, and in response, information would just flood into me like an avalanche of data and understanding. Now, that didn't happen very often, but it did happen. And so it was just one of those things, you know, I was learning everything I could from every place that I could, from ancient Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, everywhere that I could, and from everyone that I could, because I was desperate to help my patients, especially the ones that had been told there was no help for them at all. I was their last resort. And so it's kind of how all of this came together. I learned bits and pieces of different things from different places. And some of the information, some of the best information actually just came from up above in response to those prayers. But it was kind of a gradual thing. It wasn't an all of a sudden thing. It was more of a bit by bit, piece by piece, and a gradual dawning on me of what was going on with my patients. I was always looking for what the real underlying causes were. I was always looking for the truth, always looking for the truth about what was really going on with my patients and what was it that they really needed, and what were their real problems? What could I do to help them? And I found that really the ancient idea of imbalances is really true, that it's the imbalances that we accumulate that interfere with our ability to be healthy and stay well and so on. And there's lots of different kinds of imbalances, but the number one most common kind of imbalance that we all suffer from is trapped emotions. And that's why I wrote the Emotion Code book, was because I knew that if people could start to find and remove emotional baggage from themselves and from their loved ones, 80% or so of their problems would just go away. Yeah. Because emotional baggage is a component of every disease process we suffer from. And it's 90% of all the physical pain that we experience is due to emotional baggage. I mean, imagine that. Think about all the people that are listening right now that are having physical pain. And I'm telling you, you get the emotion code, learn how to do it, start removing that baggage, and you'll see in the vast majority of cases, you'll see that pain just vanish or disappear in short order. It's really amazing.
That's so fantastic with this book, because you go through so step by step. I mean, it's one of the most practical books that I have launched in Sweden, because you can actually see what you can learn afterwards, and you can practice later.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I have to tell you one of my favorite stories.
Yes.
I was at an event and started talking to this woman at the event, and she told me this story. She said that she got the Emotion Code book and started reading it, and her son started reading it, and he started practicing with his friends, and she thought that was kind of cute. Well, a couple of weeks later, the phone rang, and she answered the phone, and the woman on the line identified herself as the mother of one of this woman's son's friends. And she said, listen, she said, my son has had a severe phobia of water all of his life. You know, you can have a phobia to anything. And this boy had a phobia to water. And she said, we've tried everything. We've taken him to everybody. Nothing has ever helped him. And she said, it's been very disruptive to his life and to our life as a family, but it's just been something that we've lived with. She said, I'm at the community pool right now, and my son is out playing in the water for the first time in his entire life with the other boys. She said, your son did this. Oh. How is this even possible? What in the world is he doing? How is this possible? Well, those two boys are only 11 years old, see? So that's how simple and yet how powerful the emotion code can be.
That's fantastic.
And by the way,
many children. I heard that you have a lot of children.
Well, yes, my wife and I have 8 actually, and 5 grandchildren. So yeah, we're there's never been a dull moment in our family for many years. Sorry?
I thought I was doing a good job with 3.
3 is a good number too. 3 is a good number too. You're not a slacker. It's okay.
So you have a couple who lives at home, and you have some that are adults.
Yes, we have. Well, they're all adults now. Our youngest daughter just turned 21, and they range from 40. Let's see, I think 43 down to 21, and so So yeah, it's been a busy life, but it's been a wonderful life for us. And we have 3 that still live with us right now, our 3 youngest, that are 26 and 23 and 21. And so they moved out for about 6 months, and so we were empty nesters for 6 months, and then they moved back. So, but it's a lot of fun. We have a great time with them.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to mention is that if you have animals, the emotion code works beautifully with animals. And this is a great proof of the emotion code, really, because animals, there's no placebo effect, but you'll find that animals' behavioral problems and their physical issues, horses' lameness, for example, there are almost always emotions that are behind that. And it's a fascinating thing that, to think that animals experience the same emotions essentially that we do. And so if you learn how to use the emotion code for people, you automatically know how to use it for animals as well.
Yeah. And that I actually stumbled upon that page and stayed for it for quite a while, because I have a dog that has some issues. So that's my first patient.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a whole chapter in the book on animals, and we love animals. We've got a dog and a couple of cats, a cat and a couple of dogs. And we worked on them, and it's just so amazing. I got a call recently from a friend of mine, and I went to this dog rescue place, and they had this dog that was so vicious, nobody could even get close to this dog. They had to keep it behind iron bars. It was just so angry and so upset. Well, they'd been trying to adopt. They wanted to rehabilitate this dog and adopt it out to a family, but of course they couldn't, because the dog was just terrifying to be around. So they asked me to come over and work on this dog. So I did. I came over, worked on the dog, cleared some trapped emotions. A lot of it was fear. The animal just had really been abused. So I was able to clear that dog's emotional baggage. I didn't have to touch the dog or get in the cage with the dog. There's no way I would have. The dog would have torn me apart. It was so upset. You could see all of its teeth, and just barking. It was crazy. Anyway, so I ran into when I left, the dog was still barking at me and wanting to kill me. But I ran into the lady who worked at the place a couple of months later. And I said, "Hey, how was that dog I worked on?" She said, "Oh, after you were here, it took a couple of weeks, and the dog just calmed down, and the dog's been adopted out now to a really wonderful family with kids, and they love the dog." And so I thought, because they were going to have to put the dog down, put it to sleep. So
that's fantastic. So I will have to let you know if I feel something different now, with my heartache gone and my heart wall gone as well.
yeah,
It can take a while. It doesn't happen all the time instantly. It can take a while.
It's different. Yeah, it's different for different people. Sometimes people notice shifts happening right away. Sometimes it's more gradual, but the shifts always happen. So yeah, you'll have to let me know how you do.
I would certainly do that. So what does a day look like for you? Because before you treated patients, you met patients, and today, What do you do today?
Well, now I do interviews like this. I've done, I don't know, somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 interviews around the world. I've done radio mostly, some TV. I do live seminars, and we used to do a lot of live events. We've done a lot of teaching over in Europe. We've been all over the world. Let's see, the year before last, I guess, was the first time we'd been to Asia to teach. But yeah, normally we're over in Europe teaching in Switzerland and Germany and in the UK primarily. We had our first seminar this last year scheduled in New Delhi in India, but of course COVID stopped all the travel plans. So we're hoping that this year we might be able to start doing some more traveling a little later. And yeah, Sweden is definitely on the agenda now.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. We're open for it. We're ready for it. But Dr. Bradley, this is something that you don't, it's not only you. I mean, you're the author behind the book, but you have built a big thing out of this. I mean, the discoverhealing.com, and this is kind of an industry. It's a big company.
Well, yeah, it is. We've got about 30 employees, and a lot of what we do is train people how to do the emotion code. We have online certification programs, of course, for the emotion code, and then also for the body code. We have a couple of other higher level certification programs that we're going to be introducing later this year. But we are an educational company, really. All that we do is geared towards helping individuals learn the art of healing, find healing themselves, and unlock their own healing abilities so that they can help other people, help their families, help their loved ones. And if they like doing the emotion code, like doing the body code, then there is a pathway to certification so they can actually do it for a living if they want to. And we have a number of certified practitioners, of course, in Sweden.
You do? I have to find out.
Yeah, well, you can go to discoverhealing.com and you can look at the map there. Now, not all of our practitioners are on this map, but let's see here. I could probably share this maybe on the screen.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do this.
I think it's quite amazing that so many chiropractors develop their healing methods into something else, but they start with chiropractic.
Well, it is really interesting. You know, I think that I think the reason why is because we kind of have that independent spirit that we tend to. For example, when I went to chiropractic school, I was very what would you say? I was very open. Yeah. I wanted to learn everything I could, but I had in mind that maybe the best way to do things had not really been figured out yet. And so that was kind of the attitude that I had, that maybe there's a better way to do things. And I think that now that's what we're doing right now, is we figured out a better way to do things. And really, if you think about it, the computer that is within each one of us, the subconscious mind within each one of us, knows with a perfect understanding what we need. It remembers everything that has ever happened to us, every face we've ever seen in a crowd, everything we've ever eaten or tasted or touched or smelled, the whole history of our health or disease. It's all in the subconscious mind. So tapping into that computer, that ultimate computer that is within each one of us, is absolutely where the world needs to go. Because think about this. I mean, how long has it been that when you go to a doctor, they don't really know why you're manifesting symptoms? They don't really know what the underlying causes are in most cases. And so they'll say, well, here, why don't you try this and see if this works? If that doesn't work, we'll try this. If that doesn't work, we'll try this, right? Kind of like throwing things at you to see what sticks. But with the emotion code, and of course, the other work that we do with the body code, it's a quantum leap in looking at the body and respecting the intelligence of the body totally, and simply coming to the body with open expectations and asking it what it needs. And the answers are sometimes really surprising, but that's what we do. That's what it's all about. And that's going to change the world. I mean, it's there's no way that it can't. The cat is out of the bag now.
Yes, it definitely is. And I guess with this new version of the book, it will it will enter more markets and different languages, and people will know more about it.
Well, right. I mean, we self-published the emotion code that came out in 2007. And it did well enough, and we sold enough books that eventually the big publishers wanted the book. And so that's why we went with our publisher, St. Martin's Press. And so they're they're working. They've got a foreign rights department, and the book is coming out now in many, many languages. And some of the languages, I just have to tell you, I was talking a few weeks ago with a guy from Poland, one of our practitioners, and we were on a Zoom meeting, and he's got this stack of books on the table behind him, and they look like the Emotion Code. I said, "Hey, are those books? I have to ask you, is that the Emotion Code in Polish?" And he held one up and he said, "Oh yeah, it's fabulous. It's fabulous in Polish." Well, I knew he had a contract, but I'd never seen the book, so.
Oh.
It's probably available in a lot more languages that I am not necessarily aware of. We just have a lot going on here. We're trying to, get this to the whole world as fast as we can.
Yeah, of course. We are expecting the Swedish book from the printer tomorrow. So
Very exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
No, I will definitely send you one. At least from Sweden, you will have one, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll come to Sweden. Yeah, you don't need to send me one. They're supposed to send me one. In fact, you can see on the wall behind me, I've put up these frames for the different languages of the Emotion Code. And I've had to repeat some because they haven't been sending me the books, I guess because of COVID. So it's kind of slowed a lot down. But anyway, what's exciting is that this is a very, very powerful healing modality that anybody can learn and anybody can use. And all you need to do is just open your mind a little bit, open your heart a little bit to the possibilities that maybe there's a better way, because there is.
I'm so sure of it. I'm so thankful for you making this book, writing this book. And I hope that a lot of Swedish people will actually learn from it and have a lot of, happy moments or revelations or releases with it.
Yeah, success. It's all about releasing your trapped emotions for abundant health, love, and happiness. So absolutely, that awaits you.
Yes. Can I ask you, do you have a motto in life?
Well, my own personal, I don't necessarily have a personal motto, but my own highest value is to live in alignment with that higher power, the universe, God, however you want to refer to it, so that my intuition is really at its highest level, so that I can receive and hear the little messages that we otherwise often miss. And our company purpose is, and we recite this every Monday morning at 9 a.m. at our company huddle. It's healing the world by empowering you. That's what our motto is. Our company purpose: healing the world by empowering you, the individual. Because the world is in this transformational process, right? And you can see it happening. There's so much craziness in the world. Well, the way I look at it, I see the earth as being in labor, trying to bring forth this new world. But it's a new world that's unlike any world that we've known. The world that's coming, and it's going to be a little painful to get there, but we will get there. The world that's coming is a world that is ruled by love, where all of the 93% of people that have a heart wall now that's interfering with their ability to give and receive love, those heart walls will be gone. And it's going to be a different world where instead of operating from this brain, which is just logical, we're operating from this brain, which is where we actually feel. And it's going to be a wonderful world. It is going to take it's going to take a bit of an effort to get there. It's going to be a little rough for a while, but we'll get there eventually.
I think it's a very generous thing that you're doing, because writing this book, of course, it's a big job, and you did it quite some time ago, but it will reach so many people and give them so hands-on practical tools to work themselves without needing to go to a practitioner perhaps and pay a lot of dollars and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very generous thing that you're doing.
Well, sure. I mean, it has to go to the masses. I mean, the thing about it is it's simple enough, really, that anyone can learn and anyone can do it. Witness the story, for example, of the 11-year-old boy and his friend. Yeah. I mean, anybody can really learn how to do this. If you want help to do it, that's totally fine. You can go to discoverhealing.com and click on the practitioner button, and you can see the map of the world, and you can find somebody that can work with you. And because it's done at a distance, you don't have to find somebody in your own country or city. You can find someone in somewhere else in the world, and that's totally fine.
And if you want to learn more, then we can take your courses.
Yes, exactly right. If you want to really get good at it, then you can sign up for our certification course.
Is there anything you want to say to the Swedish audience before we say bye to each other? And do you have any truths that you want to let them know about?
Well, I'm just really, really excited that the book is coming out in Swedish. I think honestly that my ancestors probably, if I go back far enough, probably came from Sweden somewhere along the line, because, as a Nels son, son of Nils and so on, I think that, I don't know how far back we might have to go, but I've always felt some kind of a connection with Sweden. And I'm very excited that the book's coming out. And I hope to get over there one of these days. As far as truth goes, I would just say that, I've learned for myself. I had a very profound spiritual experience when I was 15 years old. And I learned that God is real. God is our Father. And actually, this world and the whole universe is really all about love. It's all been created because of love. And it's all been created to help us to grow and progress and ascend. What happens to us when we have all this emotional baggage is that it keeps us earthbound. It keeps us stuck in these low levels of vibration. So as you remove that emotional baggage, it's not uncommon at all for people to say that they feel lighter, because what's happening is your vibrational level is rising. Now, think about this. If one person, by removing their emotional baggage, can start to ascend and feel lighter and vibrate at a higher level, imagine what happens to a whole world when everyone is doing that and everyone is ascending. The whole planet shifts. And that's what really this is about on a planetary scale, but it's done one at a time, and it's easy to learn, and you can do it yourself, and you can use it on your cat or your dog or your horse, and you'll get great results.
And you can't do any harm. I mean, can you fail? Yeah,
No.
You can fail, but you can.
No, the worst, if you do it wrong, the worst thing that happens is you don't remove the trapped emotions.
Exactly.
That's it.
So it's just let go, learn, and get out there and do stuff to heal the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alexandra, for having me on. I'm excited. I'm excited about what's going on in Sweden, and hopefully we'll be able to figure something out. Maybe come over and teach a seminar or something over there, and meet you and meet everybody else. Yeah, it'd be really fun.
Our members in the book club, we're first and foremost a book club. So we let all the members of the book club first have all the books that we launch. And then later on, we send them out to other channels, to reach the rest of the world, but to reach the rest of Sweden. But the thing is, our members, they are very dedicated to body, mind, and spirit. So this book, and being praised by other popular authors like Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, etc. I think that this book will just fall into their hands, and I hope they will love it. It's perfect.
Well, I hope so too, and I think they will.
So thank you so much for all your time. And Dr. Bradley Nelson, thank you for writing The Emotion Code. And I hope to speak to you soon again.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too.